Good afternoon. I'm excited to participate, and I'm honored to be a part of this TEDx presentation and to talk about supporting fatherhood and what that means for many communities and families. So father absence, in particular in African American families, affect about 2/3 of all African American children. It influences child risk for poor outcomes, economic well-being in families, health and economic outcomes in fathers themselves. And in addition, few resources have been aimed at addressing the issues that constrain father involvement. So when fathers are positively involved in the lives of their children, the fathers themselves do better, children do better, mothers are supported by fathers, mothers do better. In turn, families and entire communities prosper as a result of positive father engagement. One of the fathers that I've been working with in my research basically presented this statement about fatherhood being an option. And he was saying, what I would stress to younger men, that fatherhood is not an option. It's detrimental to the life of that child if you're not around. And for a lot of the fathers that I work with, I think if we can seize any day and any moment to make it known to the fathers themselves how important they are to their children, this would be a major, major milestone in moving forward. So to that end, this research team, which is myself, Dr. Susie Breitenstein, and Mr. Donald Waddell, applied for and received funding for the National Institutes of Health to develop a fatherhood program. And this were the three people. We were the research team, but so many collaborators and friends and coworkers at Rush really helped to make this happen. So the program that we developed under this grant, which was called the African American Non-Resident Fatherhood Program, had one purpose, which was to develop a fatherhood program with the guidance of African American non-resident fathers formed into a Fathers Advisory Council. So we recruited fathers to participate in our project, and each meeting, of which we've had 13 so far, has been guided by discussion questions and activities focused on actually developing the program, looking at the content, the length, the duration, the scenes, and deciding on the video clips that are going to be included in the program. So who are the members of the Advisory Council? These are men who we interviewed, first of all, to find out why they wanted to be involved. African American with children between the ages of 2 and 5, willing to be a part of the council, and ultimately we ended up with 12 dads. The average age was 35.6, we had a range of 21 to 44, and these dads had a range of 1 to 9 children. Pretty amazing. These are about 9 members of our Fathers Advisory Council. You know, I kind of tricked them into this photo. It's like, come on. Want you to see who they are. And what I really want to spend some time on is to give you a sneak preview of the program that evolved as a result of that work. Hours and hours and hours of work went into this. We hired a production company. We recruited families to be filmed in a videotape. We wrote scripts. We hired a narrator. We went through hours and hours and hours of video clips, picking out the most relevant and engaging ones. And we have put this together and into a program that the Advisory Council chose the name, Building Bridges to Fatherhood. So you are going to have the opportunity to have a sneak preview of what's never been shown in public yet. So this first clip is called Fatherhood Matters, and it's about the difference that fathers make in their children's lives.
At the end of the day, that not only are you a father and a protector, but these children that you're making, you got to put them off into society.
Really, he wasn't around when I was in high school, grade school, you know, I had my first girlfriend, first kids, you know, and I didn't have him to go back and kind of ask, you know, is this supposed to, so I suffered a little. I had to go through some processes to really understand, man. So when we finally got to this conversation, I'm like, all right, what's up?
Do what you can, you know what I'm saying? As long as you're there for your child and showing your child and teaching your child right from wrong, then they're going to be good and they're going to love you regardless no matter what you do or what you bound.
My father was my role model, the way he take care of us right now.
Your kids are a reflection of you.
Okay, so those are fathers' perspectives on the importance of fathers. And then I have a slightly different perspective in the next clip, which actually is a mom's perspective on this.
My father wasn't around, his father wasn't around, so it was like, I don't want that to be how my daughter looks at us. Oh, my daddy talks to this female, and that's supposed to be my stepmama. Or my mama talking to this man, I call him daddy too. I didn't want her to grow up looking for love because she's missing it from her dad.
Okay. And again, these clips that you're seeing are used in groups of fathers meeting together, and these clips are used to stimulate the discussion. So we'll show a clip, and we'll ask a dad, what did you see happen there? What do you think about that father's experience? Has anything like that ever happened to you? So as opposed to this didactic lecture-type teaching model, this is an engagement model of working with fathers and having them really actively respond to the video scenes that they're seeing. Now, at this point, some of the things that we have in the scenes are really factors that get in the way or constrain fathers' involvement with their children. And one of these issues that the fathers that we videotaped spoke about was visitation.
I had to go to court to get visitation and all that, you know. I guess the mom still, I don't know what it is, but the courts didn't give me really any justice, so I'm getting them every other weekend. So now she says, well, you can't get them this weekend. Why not? Well, because you just can't get them, you know, whatever.
And that's what you got to do.
Every time when she wants to, he can't come over. When she's mad at me, he can't come this weekend. I done made plans and spent money, and now he can't come.
Okay, so visitation. So needless to say, the challenges of mother-father communication are a big factor in terms of fathers staying engaged with their children. Come on. Another issue that the fathers in our advisory council and the fathers that we filmed spoke about was the impact of racism on fathers.
We face racism systematically.
Right. Our racism is more a systematic racism.
And not to say like how black people always say, oh, it's the man. It's not the man holding you back.
When you coming downtown, you can tell how they look at you. It's like you've been stereotyped, you know.
I grew up on the west side of Chicago, one of the worst areas that they call one of the worst areas. I went from there to my freshman year, the end of my freshman year of high school. My mother moved to Streamwood, Lily White. I mean, it's literally like when I moved there, it was like 5 black families in the area I moved in, right? So now I went from this being in all black, only white people I came in contact with was my teachers and a few whites and Hispanics in my school, which was very few. But I got along with everybody. But now I'm engulfed in it. So now I had to, because I got stereotyped. They thought, everybody knew I came from the city. They thought I was a gangbanger.
I was raised in the South.
That's how
Mississippi.
And
I know what it's like. Real precious is like.
Woo,
you know?
Charlie.
So, you know, I was at a courthouse one day, 15 years old, and I was talking with this gentleman, and I was looking him in his eyes, and he told me, don't look me in the eyes. When I came to Chicago, one of the hardest things for me to ever get used to is looking a white person in the eye. I'm not bitter. I never was bitter. I'm not a fool. I know it's out there.
Okay, a little more. Part of the program also is intended to be implemented with fathers with some involvement in the criminal justice system. So we do have some fathers who have histories of incarceration that also provided their perspectives on how that constrains their involvement with their children.
I don't think you could be a father in jail.
No.
You know, you can't. You can only be a dad and sit, you know, and try to do what you can because like you say, you know, a father, see them get up every morning, watch them go to sleep, you know, take them to school, you know, do activities with them? How could you do that behind bars? So how could you consider yourself a father?
I done been, you know what I'm saying, gone from them, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, I just, you know what I'm saying, I can't, you know what I'm saying, make up the time that I have lost with them, you know what I'm saying? So I just move on, you know? Yeah.
Okay. Again, this is from the unit that deals with dads with history of incarceration.
I got the devil over here, and I got the good guy over here. Man, it ain't even worth it, man. It ain't worth it going back. I would get $1,500, $1,700 in my pocket. Man, I wonder what I can do with this. I'm just keeping it honest with you. That'd be the first thing run through my mind. Man, I could take this 1,700 and
turn this into a fold.
Man, I could turn this 1,700 to about 5,000 quick.
Okay, so much for your sneak preview. You've seen more than anybody else has ever seen, except for our research team. So I'm excited about that. Talk a little bit more about the program. The program itself has 12 sessions, as we talked about. The last unit deals particularly for fathers with involvement in the criminal justice system. But as I spoke about as well, fathers, the first unit really focuses on helping fathers understand why they are so important to their children. Helping with communication, because that whole mother-father relationship issue, helping dads with communicating and problem solving. And then Unit 3 deals with really helping dads discipline their children effectively and use effective discipline strategies. So in conclusion, the fathers we spoke with that were in the advisory council participated because they wanted the opportunity to reach out and assist other fathers. They gained support from the fellow group members, and they gained knowledge and skills that they applied immediately. And what that means, for example, there was a father in our group who was so angry. He was so angry at his child's mother. The communication was awful, and everything just went downhill. And as we met with the advisory council, and they spoke with him about a concept which ended up being a handout in the program called Keeping Your Cool. And that concept really relates to being able to maintain a decent enough relationship with mom that she doesn't tell you, don't come back. So sometimes you kind of had to swallow a few things, and you kind of had to maybe hold things in that you might have wanted to say. But fathers really recognized that they needed to be able to spend time with their children. And so they were interested and willing to do what they had to do to make that happen. So this dad in the advisory council, at succeeding meetings, he would come back and say, okay, I tried to keep my cool. And it really worked. And she looked at me like, what? You're not arguing about this? So the advisory council, they helped us, but they also felt like they helped themselves as a result of their participation. Another perspective of an advisory council member in terms of wanting to serve a greater good and help other fathers in the community. So it wasn't just about them themselves. They wanted to help other dads. So our next steps in this program, we are again pursuing NIH funding to test the program for effectiveness to see how well it works in both community and correctional settings. So we'd like to work with dads in the community, and then separately we'd like to also work with fathers who are involved in the correctional setting. We will examine child, father, and family outcomes, which is something that hasn't really been done in fatherhood research. They've looked at satisfaction and whether or not fathers attended the program, but really did it make a difference to the fathers, and what was the impact on the children? One final bit of wisdom from the fathers in the advisory council, and like this is really serious. Of course, fatherhood is basically not a chore, and it's not something that you play with. It's more like a responsibility. In some cases, in some men that can't see their kids or is hardly around them, it's more like a privilege. Basically, I'm just grateful that I'm a father, and I'm actually blessed to be around my daughter. that being said, this ends my presentation. I'd like to end with just a couple pictures. One is one of our dads who we casted from the production company to be filmed in the video clips. And then there's this little face which says it all about why it's so important for fathers to be engaged in their children's lives throughout their children's lifetime. Thank you.